The opinions expressed by the guests on this podcast are not necessarily those of the hosts or the producers of this show.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the CrySis Queen with your girl Renee Graziano. Today I have my very dear friend Alicia Quarles on with me, and she is one of television's best personalities, her own self. Welcome, my queen.
Thank you, fellow queen. I appreciate you.
Oh, absolutely. So, it's usually you interviewing me. So
Right.
this is kind of fun here, because as much as we know each other, I don't know like the very personal stuff that we're gonna get into today. I know you are very what's the word I'm looking for? Not I'm wait, I gotta think of a word. Hold on a second, Alicia. I gotta think of the right word. Private is the word. You're more private when it comes to your personal life, which I have tremendous respect for, and I was never able to do. But today, we're not going to be so private.
Renee, here's the thing about you. Anybody that knows you knows that you get anybody to open up. You have that effect. So I'm ready to talk, girl.
Oh, thank you so much. So, first, we're going to talk about your career, which has been never ending, and God bless you for that. And God bless us. We get to see your pretty face and get all the good information on TV. So, tell me how you broke into the industry.
Yeah, well, my dad was a very famous journalist. So back when newspapers, so before Instagram, before all the social media, you would open your newspapers. You remember your New York Post and your
Yes.
Daily News and all that, right? So he was the first black newspaper publisher in the country, and worked for Gannett on USA Today. So he would take over fledgling papers. We move along. So I grew up in the industry. So I really wanted to be like Barbara Walters. I wanted to do hard news. So I went to University of Southern California. And I didn't do hard news. I went in entertainment. So I was at the Associated Press for 10 years.
Okay.
So 28, I was global entertainment editor, overseeing a team of 60, like being a boss bitch. From there, I went on to E! News for several years, started my own company. Then from there, I went to Daily Mail, and I went to Good Morning America 3. And now I'm the executive producer of my own show in Charlotte, North Carolina. So I just really just done my thing.
Oh, and that's amazing. See, I didn't even know all that. I didn't, like, you have a career in journalism. Like, it's
Yeah,
not.
like I'm
It's,
a real journalist, Lee. I'm a real journalist.
Real journalist. Yeah, my sister on the way here today, she's like, you have to ask some questions, Renee. You're in journalism. I go, listen, Jen, don't get carried away with me in journalism, because it doesn't even go in the same sentence. However, for you, it does. And that is totally
But
amazing.
you're getting people to open up. Like I consider myself, I've won Emmys, like I've done my thing. But you getting to people to open up is also journalism. So it comes in many different forms, and it's more. I'm old. I'm 42. So I started with this when I was 20 years old. In 22 years, the game has totally changed. So I respect what you're doing as well.
Thank you so much. So, in being in the limelight and red carpet galore, when did you have time for your personal life? Like in the last 22 years that we talk about, talk a little bit about your personal life that we don't get to see.
Okay, a lot of people don't know. I was with somebody for 14 years. He was my college sweetheart. We went to USC together. He was a football champ, and I was like a young journalist coming up. And we got married, and you think it's going to be all good. You think that you're going to just end up happily ever after, and we didn't. So together for 14 years, married for 7. And I remember I was coming home one day. We were living at back then it was called the Trump Towers. And I was working for E! News at the time. And I remember coming home one day, and I was like, I don't want to be here, because we would fight and we would bicker, and it was just so stressful to be home. And then that's when I knew the relationship was over, right? So you've been with somebody, but you can either in a relationship grow together. We always had separate lives, which I think is healthy. You should have your life in the middle, but we just grew so far apart, there wasn't coming back together. So I went through a really, obviously all divorces are hard, but at the same time, my best friend was dying of cancer.
Oh.
And so for me, moving every 3 years, I didn't have long-term friendships, right? So she had been my girl since I was 17 years old. I met her interning in New York, DM Brown. She was an MTV star. She was dying of cancer, and my marriage was ending. So these were my two constants in my life, and I lost them both at the same time. That was super hard.
Wow. Oh, yeah. It's like you had two deaths, because
I had two deaths.
it's the death of a friend. I think the death of a friend actually does outweigh the marriage one, in my personal opinion, because, like you said, you grew apart. So, in the marriage, okay, I understand that you grew apart, but what was it exactly that made you realize, like, we're not the same? Like, did he do anything wrong? Was he cheating? Was he lying? Was there anything that brought you to realize, like, he's really just not for me?
Here's the thing. I can say this. I can't say anything bad about him. He's a good dude. He's with somebody else now. They have 3 kids. What I can say is this. When he was the football star, I always supported him. To me, it was like, yeah, you do your thing. Being a journalist, he was always supportive. When I got on E! News, the celebrity side came with that, right?
Ooh.
And so for me, I just felt like when I was hustling hard, I was hustling for us. Like, we're going to do this together.
Right.
And men are funny like that. I think they grow resentful if their career's not going the way that it should. So I think that there was resentment that builds up. And people would always want to ask me about my career, my life, because these are the heyday of E! News. So I'm working with Juliana Rancic. I'm working with Ryan Seacrest. I'm just doing my thing. But in my mind, I'm just working hard. And I wasn't chasing fame ever. Like, that was just a result of being a good journalist.
Correct.
And I think he grew resentful. And when somebody's starting to resent you but won't voice it, at a certain point, you can make yourself smaller for somebody, but that's not how I'm built. I'm just not built like that.
No,
I'm built
not
to
at
be
all.
big.
Because with the resentment also comes they mistreat you in some sort of way, whether it's verbally. I mean, and I'm not putting words in your mouth by any means, but I'm just saying, I know when you could be with someone who resents the star that you are, because, no matter how you look at it, you're a star. You definitely are, and you did say something that I want to, like, 100% like stamp on it. You never chased any fame. Like, you were always so humble. So humble from the first day I met you. I think I had your phone number from the first time that I met you.
You and I just, because you're the same. You're the same.
Thank you. But no, I can understand, and that's probably another thing that maybe did happen. You're just so lovable. And someone that's not having the same as you and that's used to being the star, yeah, the resentment, yeah, it could get ugly. But, you did part amicably, I'm assuming?
Amicably-ish. I was the
Okay.
one that wanted to get divorced, and the difference is that, and he wanted to fight for the marriage. When a woman's fed up, we're fed up, at least in my opinion.
Absolutely.
But then I felt like I put up with enough. I was done. Like, I'm out. Something in you, like, clicked for me at least. I don't want to be happy anymore. I don't want to be whatever this is going on. I don't want to do it anymore.
Wow.
And I'm not saying that that was the right thing to do, because my parents are married to my mom's, death 50 years. So
Right.
that's not how I grew up. I know you grew up the
Same
same.
thing.
Like,
My
you're
parents, 58 years they were together.
1,000%. But my mom said something to me. I think, Renee, you understand this. You go through shame when you go through divorce, like shame. And I felt so shameful. And my mom said to me once, she said, you know what? I'm really proud of your generation. And again, my dad had a happy marriage. You go through ups and downs, but they were happy. She said, I'm so proud of your generation because you guys don't stick around. You don't just take it. You do something about it. And I just did what I had to do for myself.
Yeah, and it's not easy for
No.
a woman to leave. I mean, especially you were very fortunate. You were making money where you can afford to leave. But there are women that do stay in these relationships because they can't afford to leave. And I'm not encouraging divorce by any means, but I am encouraging women to, like, stand up for themselves.
Yeah, and you make a really good point, Renee. I didn't even think, people always say, well, at least you didn't have kids when you went through your divorce. And I never understood that until I had kids. It's expensive, but you're not financially independent.
Yep.
And then what people don't talk about, when you go through a divorce, there's a lot of divorce of friends, of families. You don't just lose that person. Sometimes you lose a lot of people. And he was dragging my name for a while, and I never said anything, and it was super hurtful. I just kept my head up. I kept it pushing. And, now I'm like, in hindsight, I'm able to send him love that
From
at
a
certain time he
distance.
didn't. From a distance.
Right.
From a distance. That's it.
So how old were you when you got divorced?
34.
Okay, so you still had, like,
33,
a
34.
lot of life to live at 34. And I mean, at 34 years old, I didn't get out of I was 30. However, mine for me didn't end at 30. It ended when he cooperated. You know what I mean? So for that, even though we weren't
But you
together,
had AJ too, right? Yeah.
right, there was that
yours was a
attachment.
turncoat.
Right. So
Right.
what was the first thing you wanted to do for yourself when you did get that divorce? Did you want to jump back into dating? Did you want your career to grow even more? What did you want to do?
You know what, Renee? I think I was so numb because I had lost DM at the same time. I started dating. So at the time I was dating Questlove, the drummer. And I probably shouldn't have been dating at that point because I don't think I was like even, I think I was just numb. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
So
yes.
I threw myself back into work. I was like dating him and all these things. I probably should have taken some self-reflection. But again, I was with somebody for 14 years. I don't think I had the wherewithal to do that.
Right. No, definitely not. I mean, then again, when you're with somebody from when you're so young, we're still very immature at that age. Do you know what I
Yes.
mean? So we're not
Yes.
even fully grown. And as a woman, you're out there and you're about. It's like, for me, it was anyway. I was like a kid in a candy store. I was like, freedom. Listen, George Michael's Freedom was like my tune, but I wanted to live more. So when between 34 and having the babies, were you in a quest to get remarried or and have children or
No.
no?
You know how J-Lo loves to love? My sister's like, you love to love. I love to love. I don't believe that you have one love in your life. I believe you have several big loves. For me, I just believe that. I think you change, you morph. So I went on, one of my friends, he works for Extra. He was a host there. And he's like, I'm going to introduce you to my boy. I'm like, great. I fell deeply in love with this artist, right? It was like what I needed at the time. He was like phenomenal. I dated him for years and I really thought, this is my person. This is who I'm going to have kids with. He cheated on me. And like in a really dirty, bad way, a heartbreaking way. And that broke my heart. So that was 4 years. So now I'm looking at 38 and I'm like, ooh, and he was a guy who's like, I'll never waste your time at your age. Now you're like, wait a minute. Did I miss my chance to have kids?
Okay.
And you start looking at life a little bit differently, right? Because I've had 4 years with this incredible artist. We've traveled the world. We've done the things. We've had fun. Now it's time to get serious. And I found out that you've been cheating on me for several years. So, I then started looking at, I froze my eggs. And I remember calling my parents and saying, hey, I'm going to have kids on my own. And them saying, And then I fell in love again. That's life.
Okay, so I want to talk about the cheating and the heartbreak. Was this a public relationship?
It wasn't public because I'm private.
Yes.
But he is best friends with somebody who's really public. If you look out there, we're on red carpets together. It wasn't on the low, but like, for example, when I went through my divorce, I never announced it, so everybody thought I was still married. I just was very low-key about the relationship, but those who knew, knew.
Right. Those who knew.
Yeah.
So heartbreak at 38, just like, again, thinking this is your person. Did you go through anything like internally? Did you think something was wrong? Like it was you, or did you have the confidence to know he's an asshole?
Well, what happened? We were living together, and I was like ready to have that next step and get married, and we were in Iceland. And because we were living together, I never went through his stuff. That's just not who I am. Something in my gut, women's intuition said, go through his stuff, go through his stuff. And I went through his stuff, and I found a receipt. And I was like, oh, what is this? I will leave the story there, but it opened up the floodgates for a lot of things. And I said, look, we have two choices. I said, you can either tell the truth or you can lie. He told the truth. I said, so when we get back, you have to leave. And that was it. Like, he left, and that was it. And that was hard, but I had never processed the grief of my divorce. I had never processed the grief of losing DM. Now this is probably the ultimate betrayal. Not probably, this was the ultimate betrayal.
Right.
And what I did was I just kept working, right? I was always in very high demand, so I just kept working, and never dealing with all this hurt.
So have you dealt with it now?
Yes, I have, Renee, because I had a very public mental breakdown. And so when that happens, you got to deal with your stuff.
All right. So let's talk about that, because nobody would expect that from you. Do you know what I mean? There's Alicia. She's always upbeat and smiling. And again, private. So no one's seeing signs of it, visible signs. So I think I've had a few breakdowns, but I can't say like a diagnosed one where I lost it. So could you explain, like, not start to finish, but explain where it was created and then where you ended?
My therapist will tell you it wasn't a mental breakdown. She doesn't think it was. She thinks it was a hormonal imbalance. Because also I was pregnant with twins and didn't know it. I found out that day I was pregnant, but didn't know it was twins. I think it was a breakdown. So, it is what it is. But basically, yeah, I never worked through any of that stuff. And that summer, I took on a third job. So in journalism, when you're in demand, you're in demand.
Right.
And so, I was waking up at 4 a.m. to go anchor here, then I'd go report here, then I'd go report here, and going off very little sleep, which I had done before in my career, but it's different when you're doing it in your early 20s than your early 40s.
Right.
You need sleep. And I
Right.
realized that.
And now you're pregnant.
Now I'm pregnant. I was pregnant all summer, didn't realize it. So that morning, I went for my annual, physical, found out I was pregnant. And by then, my mental health that day started just deteriorating.
Wow.
To the point where this all played out on social media. Not cute, not good. So after all that played out, a week later, I'm now at the doctor, and I find out she's like, well, good thing you're laying down because it's twins. And I never, it was the opposite reaction than you'd think I'd have. A total calm came over me because I had not been feeling myself. Obviously, that happened publicly, but I just hadn't been feeling myself, but it made sense. Like this range of emotions, this just experience. Oh, it's like, oh, you're pregnant. You're super hormonal. You're pregnant with twins. And from then on, I had a peaceful pregnancy. And I got into therapy and I took it just very seriously for a number of reasons. Obviously, for my mental health to deteriorate to that state, you know how long I probably hadn't been taking care of myself and it's just been running and running. And it wasn't just about working. It's about all that emotional baggage I'd never dealt with. Right. It's going to come out somewhere, right? It's going to come out somewhere. And it came out. And also it's about being the best mom to my my little 20s.
Absolutely. But, being a public figure and having it play out on social media, can you explain to me, for me, it's always been addiction. So my messiness has been a cause of a drug. You know what I mean? However, it's truly the cause of a mental breakdown in some aspect of it. So the mental breakdown, what was the experience of the mental breakdown?
So that morning, after my first job, I found out, I went to the doctor, he's like, you're pregnant. And I was like, so I started telling people that I was pregnant. I think if I tell people this is real, that's my mental state, right?
Right.
And then at a certain point, I just started getting hyper paranoid, just not myself. And I called my friend James, who's also my lawyer.
Right.
And I was just like, James, I don't feel good. He's like, put the phone down. I have to take a flight, put the phone down. But then I'm feeling paranoid, like my thoughts just aren't rational. And I'm starting to social media. A friend came over, she thought it was fine, then she leaves me, but then I'm posting more erratic stuff on social media. So, people call to do a wellness check, like, are you okay? And I'm not answering the phone now. More people are calling because they're seeing it play out on social, which is making me more paranoid. And the police are banging at my door, but imagine you're single, you're afraid, police are banging at your door, you're not in a good mental state.
Right.
So it's like a recipe for disaster. And I love the police, I'm not blaming them, but I'm saying that I don't think are quite equipped to deal with mental situations. They just don't. So it exacerbated it instead of lessened it. So everything that people were doing were exacerbating my state of mind instead of lessening. And so now, myself, my friends, family, I'm very much public mental health advocate.
Right.
I want people to know what to do in those situations. And it was pretty much the opposite of what happened.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. For some of us, the coziest moments during the holiday season come from wrapping up in a soft blanket with a warm mug of hot chocolate or spending a quiet evening watching movies with the family. There's something about those small comforts that makes December feel special and soothing. Whether it's the twinkling lights, the crackling fire, or simply taking time to slow down, these moments create a sense of calm that is hard to beat. Here's another way to bring yourself lasting comfort. Therapy. Just like those cozy moments, therapy offers a sense of warmth and peace that stays with you, no matter how much the seasons change. It's a way to care for your mind and well-being, giving you tools to navigate life's challenges with greater resilience. Therapy can help you build emotional strength and find balance, no matter what the outside world is throwing your way. Whether you're feeling overwhelmed by the holiday hustle or just need a moment of peace, therapy helps create a steady foundation for your mental health so you can continue to enjoy the moments that truly matter. Therapy isn't just about finding relief during tough times. It's also about learning positive coping skills and setting healthy boundaries. These are essential tools for maintaining balance in our daily lives, especially during the busy, sometimes stressful holiday season. Therapy empowers you to become the best version of yourself by helping you manage emotions, improve relationships, and develop a deeper understanding of yourself. It's not for just those who experience major trauma. It's for anyone who wants to grow, find clarity, and build a stronger sense of self. If you've been considering therapy, I highly recommend giving BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, making it incredibly convenient and flexible to fit into your schedule. You don't have to worry about taking time off from work or fitting therapy into your busy day. BetterHelp allows you to access professional support from anywhere, whether that's at home, in your car, or a break from work. You can even switch therapists at any time at no extra cost. All you need to fill out is a brief questionnaire, and BetterHelp will match you with a licensed therapist who is suited to your unique needs and preferences. BetterHelp is all about making therapy accessible, convenient, and tailored to you. You deserve support that fits your life and helps you feel your best. And BetterHelp is here to provide just that. Start therapy today and make this winter season the most supportive, empowering one yet. Your mind and your heart will thank you. Find comfort this December with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/crisis today and get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/crisis, CRYSIS. Okay, so can you tell me if somebody was going through it right there, what would be what would you tell them to do? Since you're the advocate of it, and I often have those feelings of not paranoia but panic. Like I go into panic. There is no in between. It just goes to 100. So what could you say? What could you tell me?
I think if you have somebody, or if it's you or if it's anybody else, have a designated person in their life who is going to approach them calmly. Because the reason I finally opened my door wasn't because the police were banging at it. That scared me.
Sure.
It was because my friend Kelly, my good friend, was very calm and she was very rational. And she said, Alicia, will you just open the door? Can we talk to you? And it's that calmness that you need when your mind's chaotic. So I think just having that calmness and that wherewithal and that peace of mind to have somebody who's not, because obviously you're afraid when somebody you love is not well. So you might just get and it's a sick cycle. So you've got to just have somebody very calm. That's what I would say.
Okay, so let me ask you. So you're pregnant now. The twins' dad is a part of their life?
He's in their life. He's a very good father. We were together. So after The Artist, I dated this man for many years.
Right, because you froze your eggs.
Froze my eggs.
Okay.
Froze my eggs. And I was preparing to do this by myself. I'm like, look, that time I think I was 40, 41. And I'm like, I'm just going to do it by myself. And I had my parents' blessing. It's like, love has not worked out for me. I want to be a mom. I do not want to miss my window.
Okay.
And my very traditional parents were like, we got you. You do what you need to do. Cool. I dated somebody for a long time. It didn't work out. We broke up that June. I hadn't spoken all summer. Surprise, I'm pregnant and it's twins. And I will say that he stepped up. He's a really good father.
Okay, that's amazing. That's got to be, it's not the love story that we women want, but it is the love story because you're the best mom for your babies. You know what I mean? You have a love story.
1,000. Renee, you hit it on the head. I mean, every day, because literally I just thought and this is a cautionary tale for women. I was working so hard and doing my thing, and my years passed me by. I thought I had missed my window to be a mom. I really did. And God not only blessed me with one child, but two. Every day I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm their mom. So if I had to go through that hell and that public embarrassment of that breakdown, I'm so grateful that I have my beautiful kids.
Absolutely. So with the whole thing that happened with the police, did the arrest end up on the news? Did that become public?
It did.
Okay. Take me through. Tell me.
I think I have an idea.
That kind of sucks. I've been arrested, and I'll tell you, it's not a good feeling because, it's more understandable that I got arrested than you got arrested. However, because now it's about you're having a mental breakdown and getting arrested. It's not even one way, it's two whammies, you know?
It's two whammies, and then also Renee, you think about your family, your parents. Did I ruin my career? How do I like? You think about all of these things, and that's really what made me become a mental health advocate. Because I'm like, I should have never, ever, ever been arrested. When someone is in that kind of mental state, you don't arrest them. Like, that's the wrong thing. So I've really been public about it, and I think when these things happen, you can shrink and you can be quiet, but God put me up here for a reason. I have this platform. I need to use my voice.
Absolutely. And it's amazing that you are and you're helping everyone. And I'm really proud that you're sharing, because mental health, we don't talk, even though we're talking about it, we don't talk enough about it. I look at my daughter-in-law and my son, who have 4 children. My son is 30. I see the stress, the financial stress. Right now, the country's a hot mess. The financial stress, which people that have, that are basically mentally healthy can lose it like this now. You know what I mean? We hear so many crazy stories about husbands coming home and killing their whole entire family. Mothers doing these, like, nobody's really talking about, especially hormones, because let me tell you something. Those things are a bitch.
Can we talk about that?
Please,
the hormones,
can we?
I'm telling you. Yeah, girl, because I'm like, if I would have never been pregnant, I think everything else had a lot of factors, but those hormones, they'll take you over the edge. And I know when women go through menopause, whatever we're going through, hormones are not talked about enough.
And they're not your friend. They are not.
No, they're not.
I was forced into a full hysterectomy at 44 years old. So
That's so young.
The next morning, I woke up in full-blown menopause. I mean, it was terrible. And then I lost my father while I was in menopause. And all of that, just like, it increases the chance for something to go wrong. And
1,000%.
yeah, it does. And I do agree that not enough people are educated on how to deal with a person who is hormonally out of control. And it's, it's a serious situation that as women, we do have a responsibility to women that have big voices. Yours is a big voice, mine's just a big mouth.
Yeah, you got a big voice.
However, I think it's, listening to you share about you, like, losing it, even if it was even if it was just for a short period of time, until you got it together and realized, I need to stay calm. I need to go through my pregnancy so my children aren't affected by my mental breakdown, because it could have rippled. You know what I mean? And a lot of people don't understand. You're in the middle of a mental crisis that could roll over to your children.
They could have, and people always, well, now they don't, because I think I've been vocal enough about it, and done interviews to talk about. People are like, where are your family? Where were your friends? And I want to say they were right there. My mom, everybody flew up right then, and you have to rebuild, right? You've been there before. You rebuild,
Yes.
And you pick yourself back up, and you figure it out. And when my twins were 4 months old, my mom passed away unexpectedly, and I remember, Renee, I was standing in my closet.
I'm so sorry.
And I was like, that hit me, and I said, damn. I said, you know what? If I can overcome this, I can overcome anything. Because it has been a hell of a 2 years. Imagine, me, I finally get these babies, I get this life, but I have this mental breakdown, I have an arrest, I lose my mom. And so what I'm saying is that if I can stand here and get on the other side of it, so can everybody else. Look at you with your sobriety and your voice and your big voice and the positivity you're putting out there. I just think it's so important.
But losing your mom, I know we've talked about losing our parents. I see how you post about your dad. And every time that you do, like, it actually makes me cry. I'm not going to lie, because the relationship, I know mother and daughter, I get it. But the relationship you have with your dad, it's almost like dad had to step up and be grandparents. Do you know what I mean? And tell me, I know what it is to lose a dad, not a mom, and I know there's a disconnect on the woman connection. So, was your mom your best friend?
She was, and I want to say to you, Renee, I know you talk about that loss of your daddy, and I know how that hit you. So, my mom was my girl. We talked so many times a day. When people were like, "Oh my God, what's wrong with her? Is she on drugs? Is she this?" My mom was like, "No." My mom had my back so strong. Such a lady. That was my girl. But you hit on an important point because my dad has stepped up. I know that I hurt him. I know he was disappointed in me with everything that happened, but he's awesome and he's so proud of me. And life is funny, Renee. For me to rebuild myself and, not see, God is good, right? God is amazing. For me to
Amazing.
not only come back on air, but to executive produce my own show where I spread positivity, it's like, wow, look at God. In your valleys, I could never have planned this
Right.
ever. And I could never, I prayed for it and I believed it, but it's actually come to fruition and I just couldn't be more grateful. And maybe I went through all of that to appreciate this more.
You went through all of that, but now you're even more approachable. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think
Yeah.
watching you, you just overall look like the happiest human that there possibly is, and people don't know you're suffering. They don't know that. So to now know that you had to go through something that so many other people do, I think you are even more loved, and people feel like you tell the truth. Like, I know when I'm watching you and you're telling a story or you're reporting on someone, it's true because you could see it the way you tell it. You're a very genuine person is really what I'm trying to get at. And your children are so lucky to have you. Absolutely. I mean, there is nothing like a strong mother. And my mother, I mean, super strong woman. She had to deal with my father and then 3 girls that were like us. But I look at my daughter-in-law, and like I said, you guys have babies that are the same age. I look at it, and the strength that you ladies have raising twins is remarkable.
Girl.
It's also understandable why anybody would have a breakdown because
Thank
I have
you.
no
Thank you.
idea.
Well, it's hard.
It's very hard. So how do you manage it now with the twins? And how are you managing? You said it's 2 years now that your mom passed?
Yes. A little over a year, about
Okay.
a year ago.
About a year
You
ago.
know what? So I remember I was on Tamron Hall's show and she was asking me about the twins and I said, well, I have a nanny. She said, no, say it loud. I have wonderful nannies. I have wonderful, wonderful women who help me.
Oh, that's
Because their
amazing.
father is great, but we don't live in the same city. So day in and day out, I'm a single mom. So I
Yes.
have wonderful women who love my children. Of course, like my sister's close. I have friends like you. Like I know, like
Thank
hey, if I need something or some advice, or even like you'll just leave me some encouragement, and I'm like, thank you, Renee. Like I feel that and I see that, so that's awesome. I also just honestly, girl, after the past 2 years, I'm like, if I could survive all that, I'll be all right. Like I have
Yeah.
times where like yesterday, last night, grief is funny, and you know this. I mean, I was missing my mom in my bones, and it doesn't come that often. I was missing my mom in my bones. I was missing my friendships in New York. I was just missing all of that to be in a new environment. And old me, I would have just like worked or I would have just, done something else to get through it. I just sat there and felt it. So I'm learning how to sit with pain, how to sit with grief, and how to feel it. And it's okay, this will pass, but you got to feel it.
My father always said, "This too shall pass," and I'd be like, "It's not passing fast enough, Daddy. Make it go
Right.
now."
Right, Becky, go.
Yeah, please. And that's the crazy part is my father, for me, anything he did made the pain pass. So, sitting through it, is there any advice you can give somebody that's, because your mom just passed. My dad, it's 5 years. I mean, it's
But that was your
taken,
guy, Renee. That
yeah,
was your guy.
right. Yeah. I mean, what could you say to someone who just lost a parent?
Yeah, I would say this. There's not a drink in the world, a drug in the world, busy enough in the world, not eating enough in the world that is gonna keep that pain down, right? It's gonna come up some way, somehow, something. I remember when I had my mental breakdown, and my friend works for the Child Mind Institute, and I have such shame and guilt and arrest, really the arrest too. It was just awful. And she said, Alicia, if somebody had diabetes and they got sick, nobody would blame them because your mind was sick. Nobody blames you. And so when you're dealing with grief and all that, it's okay, be sick for a minute. Be sick 5 years from now. But you have to feel it and know that if you don't process it, it's going to come out in some other way.
Sure will.
And so for me now, I was just having a bad day a couple weeks ago. I just talked to my friend and I was like, I'm going to go to bed early and this is going to pass. And that's what I did. I just went to bed early. It is going to pass. But when I say I sit with my feelings, I don't sit with them for too long.
Right.
Because it's easy to do woe is me. It's easy to let
Pity
sadness
party.
overtake you, depression overtake you. You gotta put one foot in front of the other, but you have to acknowledge your feelings.
Right. I believe they say don't sit with it for longer than 48 hours. If you're going to cry, cry, throw a fit 24 hours, and then get up and get out.
Yep.
I think I sat for like 48 years. No. I used to throw the best pity parties. And I'm dead serious when I say I used to have cake and presents and everything. And as my pity parties increased, less people started to come. And that's when I knew that I was really losing myself. So I do agree. Feel the pain, process the pain, but don't, sit on
Don't
it
live
for
in it.
too long. What about
Right.
dating for you now?
Girl, I'm finally ready. I'm ready.
Let's do it.
Okay, are you dating Renee? Because
I'm
you had a crazy.
girl.
I'm not trying to be journalist, but are you dating? Are we dating together? What are we
Okay.
doing?
I am still okay. I'm over that I dated a man who convinced me he was straight when he was gay and wanted my fame because he couldn't get it or pay for it on his own. I'm good with that. Okay?
Okay.
Shit
Okay.
happens. In today's world, let's not even talk about the ratio of straight and gay men. Okay. And it's okay to be gay. This has nothing to do with that. But if you're a straight
Be honest.
man, be honest. And for me, I want to date a straight man. Period. I'm entitled to that. You know what? Let me make you laugh for a second. They asked a question to Daniel Craig, right? That Craig Daniel, right?
Daniel.
Yes. Will James Bond ever be gay? My response on TMZ was like, okay, you took Superman, you turned him out. Can you please leave James Bond the F alone? Because I need a superhero over here. I need a straight superhero. So with that being said, I'm ready for a superhero. I don't know where to find him or where I can
Okay.
purchase him if he comes in a box, doesn't talk, and has money in the box. But right now, I'm ready. I think you know what? Maybe me and you should host a dating something with dating.
No, I'm serious. Let's do
So
it.
am I.
Because
Let's
no,
talk
Renee.
about it.
Okay, like this is you always have good ideas. Let's do it because girl, I'm on one of those like famous dating sites.
Okay.
And
I
I
gotta
was
get
ready to go on a date.
invited there.
Oh, I'll get you invited.
Okay.
But listen to this. I've met good dudes, but I was finally like, okay, conversing with this guy, cool, cool, cool. My girlfriends, I'm at brunch the other week, and they're like, oh, we're gonna look him up. I'm like, no, don't look him up. That's the whole thing. They were like, girl, you can't go on a date with him. He was being indicted for money laundering. I'm tired, Renee.
I
was
want
like,
him. He's mine. He's mine. Pass him this way. I love a good criminal. I love a good criminal, and I'm very well known in the federal correctional institutes. So,
I'm trying to be not well known.
well, listen, I already come with the rep, but I think me and you, wow, that kind of sucks.
It was funny though. It was like,
It's
okay.
funny, but I'm glad you found out because it really does suck. You get attached to these men and then you got to do the time. And you know what? This is a time for you to be happy and for your
Yes.
children to maybe eventually have a solid man in their life where, they can have a role model themselves.
That's it. You know what? Like this sounds like hokey, but I'm serious. I'm just praying for it. God has delivered everything to me in time. I feel like a really good man, a good man for my children is out there, so I'm gonna have to be patient and just cool out. Because this last 15 years has been a hot mess of men.
Yeah, I agree. I've been without I left my ex-husband when I was 30.
Okay.
So from 30 until 40, I dated unsuccessfully. And then I took him back, and we saw what happened there. So I haven't had a successful relationship ever. Oh, shit, hold up. I haven't
Girl, me
had,
either.
no, think about it. I haven't had a successful relationship ever because my marriage failed. And not by my doing, it failed on him.
He
Right?
was trash.
So if you
Yeah.
think about it, I've never gotten, and then then I got engaged to that loser in Texas who was a con man.
Right.
Right. So I think what we should do for women is we should host some sort of dating experience.
Let's do it where we actually they say for you and I, Renee, the common denominator is us. We keep attracting these losers. So we got to figure out what's going on with us. So maybe we get other women who are highly successful, but can't figure it out in love.
I'm sure we're going to find lots of them.
Right.
But I think it sounds great. I think it sounds fun. And then we can report on it. We could do a whole episode on it. Yes, let's
do a love
find
line, a
love.
series.
The CrySis Queen and the goddess out there, we're going to go find ourselves. Listen, I'm telling you.
Renee, if anybody could get it done, it's you and I.
Absolutely. So it's a date. Even if it's just going to be me and you at the table, but it's a date.
We love each other, so it's all good.
Absolutely. Well, I want to thank you so much for being on. You're amazing, and I appreciate you tremendously. I look forward.
I love you.
I look forward to seeing the twins, and with my twins, we got to get all the babies together. Absolutely. Love you, Alicia. Mwah. Thank you. Bye. Okay, everybody, thank you for joining the CrySis Queen. Again, that was my girl, Alicia Quarles. Looking forward to seeing you next week, of course, on the CrysisQueen Podcast.